tomorrow night and Thursday night in this room will be our auditions for Cabaret, the fall musical.
I chose to audition for Cabaret because I thought it would be fun.
You know what, I'm just gonna audition, just see what happens, and just audition, because you never know.
The biggest reason was probably because it was my last musical here, and if this is gonna be my last show, I wanna go out with a bang. So.
When we sent out the audition announcements, we asked them to come prepared with a short part of an edited version from a song.
Welcome and bienvenue, welcome. And Lord knows he ain't got the smarts.
We had them do was also a basic dance choreography audition.
Up and ba-ba-da-bum, ba-dum, cabaret, oh cabaret, and pelvic thrust.
And then we also gave them sides, which are for cold readings, and so they got to read from the actual book itself.
You think I do not know what goes on here? Sailors, all the time, in, out, in, out. God only knows what they never think I am running here. A battleship?
I was nervous. I mean, I get nervous for every audition. Like, I'll sit there in the house and I'll be fine, and then I get up on stage and the nerves kick in.
Clear and cuts you like a knife. I miss the mountains.
I was pretty excited during auditions.
This world's waited long enough.
This sailor, dear lady, is my brother.
When I auditioned, I was a little more nervous than I normally am because I've never auditioned here. So I didn't know how you guys held auditions, what the audition process was going to be like. And also I chose my song like a few days before the actual audition. So I was like more worried I wasn't fully prepared.
You cannot beat the town. I'm gonna wipe that smile from that famous little cloud.
The challenge then becomes in casting is to find the right mix of actors for the roles, not only the ones who best fit the roles, but also the ones who can work together as a group.
I was really excited when I got my character. When I was researching the show and looking into the different characters and stuff, I saw Fräulein Schneider, and I was like, that feels the most like me and like a role that I could play.
I was pretty excited. I wasn't expecting to actually have like a role. I was expecting more ensemble since it's my first year at Virginia Wesleyan, but I was pretty excited. Yeah, it was cool.
My character, her name was Sally Bowles. She is, I guess, the lead dancer at the Kit Kat Club. The show kind of follows her and this author, Cliff Bradshaw's, relationship, because they end up falling in love, even though she doesn't mean to fall in love.
How can we raise a family?
But is America the answer? Running away to America.
Fräulein Schneider is the owner of the boarding house where Cliff Bradshaw stays. She is falling in love with Herr Schultz, who is one of the people who rents rooms from her. As the Nazis start to come to power, she has to start kind of processing, dealing with that, and she has to prioritize herself, and that for her own well-being, she cannot marry him in the event that the Nazis come to power.
I'm too old. I am no Juliet, you are no Romeo. You must be sensible.
I played Fräulein Kost. She is like the local prostitute.
Fräulein Kost, across the hall. Please feel free anytime.
She's also a Nazi sympathizer. She's an interesting character, for sure.
Performers in Cabaret and in the Kit Kat Club themselves are very provocative. So part of this exercise was to build that trust amongst each other and with the group. So what you are going to do, participant A, is you're going to show on your body, everywhere on your body where someone may touch you. And we don't ask why fences are there, we want to know where the fences are. So when you set a fence, it needs to be clearly defined and clear to your partner.
I definitely think it was necessary as far as creating physical boundaries, not only just for the burlesque dancers, but for everybody involved, because there were multiple romantic relationships that happened. There was Sally and Cliff, there was Fräulein Schneider and Herr Schultz, Fräulein Kosten, all of her men.
My character, since she is a prostitute, is going to be more touchy-feely than other characters. So I thought it was really nice to figure out each other's boundaries and where it was okay to touch them, if I could touch them at all. Because there were certain cast members where they said, I don't want to be touched, like, at all. So it was really good to know.
In the rehearsal process, a lot of what's happening is sort of divided amongst the three main collaborators for the process, and that's myself as director, Jonathan McCormick as our musical director, and Melody Waters as our choreographer. And each one of us has very specific goals to bring, and then my job as director is to kind of help everyone's goals come together and work collaboratively all together when we put it all on stage.
Max comes over, sees you, puts his coat around you, and you walk.
It was nice to have a director that was so open to feedback, and he's a very open-minded director. He lets the actors kind of make up their own interpretation of the character while also trying to feed in his own vision.
All this optimism or romanticism that he's come to Berlin to find is just crumbling away. And to some degree has always been an illusion. Right.
We doubled our ability to have rehearsal time by dividing the cast and dividing amongst the collaborators doing that. So while Melody's working in choreography for a Kit Kat Club dance, Jonathan and I would be working with other performers on solo and music numbers.
I love working with Jonathan. Jonathan is a fabulous music director. He's really good at giving positive feedback, which some musical directors that I've worked with previously are not.
Yeah, I mean, good job listening and blending on the ahs. I mean, there's a lot of really nice things happening. Good job.
At the theater company I'm used to, we had a musical director, but we didn't have live instruments, so I was used to more like learning with a track. So, but I really, really did like working with Jonathan right at the piano. He gave me really good notes.
Working with Melody, she's probably the best choreographer I've ever worked with. She's super aware of the fact that not everybody has the same level of dance experience, and I appreciate how willing she is to work with everybody's level of not only comfortability, but like I said, skill level.
Ball, change, left, right, left, ball, change, step, and a step, and up, down.
So the process of the 6 weeks of rehearsal, we were divided a lot and then started to put the pieces back together in a very short amount of time. In fact, it wasn't until almost Tech Week before we had the first full run of the entire show from start to finish.
Working with the crew was actually really nice because stagehands that we had, they were so willing to help. And the scene transitions, oh my gosh, they went so efficiently.
Kayla Bissett is our stage manager and assistant director. Kayla's job is to sort of keep me on track.
Having her tackle both roles of assistant director and stage manager, I think she did a fabulous job. She never left anybody in the dark, whether it was actors, techies, anybody. She tried to make sure that everybody was aware of what was going on. So that way nobody missed anything, everybody was on the same page. There was a lot of clarity in the way that Kayla went about it.
We're not Don't hold each other. Mm-hmm. You keep your arms behind each other, but you're not gripping each other. You are moving together.
As director and as technical director and designer, I worked with Trey Delpo to ensure that what we were doing in the scenic and setting wise was sending the same sort of message that we were doing in staging and the overall message of the production.
When we were deciding on Cabaret and having that be the show we wanted to do, we really wanted to make sure that the set allowed for us to tell the story without taking away from the story that needed to be told. It is a beast of a set. It's huge, and it does exactly what we needed it to do, which is tell the story and transform with the space as the story is growing and as Berlin continues to change.
Our costume designer for Cabaret was Alyssa Lane, a student designer. Alyssa had the task of finding and developing costumes for actors that had to provide sensual, sexual choreography in a very body positive way.
Wearing my costumes.
For
cost, we have a 20s style dress in gold. And the 20s style, as you can see, was mostly like the drop waist with an elaborate belt and a very simple rest of it. For Sally Bowles herself, this is one of her costumes for the show. We have this gorgeous, like, feather trimmed robe. And then we have this lace, sheer, very short, very tight dress that she's gonna be in with her little pink bow. And this is what she's gonna be wearing for all of her burlesque numbers.
My favorite part of my costume is I had all of my different scarves that I had for different scenes. And my favorite one is in the party scene at the end of Act 1. And I don't know if you could see this, you probably can see this from the audience, but there's a little hidden detail that it has a bunch of pineapples on it on the inside. And that is my favorite one of the scarves.
On the sound and lighting side, to get to work with Rob and Tucker, I love working with the two of them. The two of them are probably the most competent people at what they do, which sounds so bad, but I'm meaning like they have the most knowledge like on sound and on lighting, and I think they're the perfect people for the job.
I focused on like a lot of dynamic motion on the set and like dynamic motion in the lights, which leads to a lot of cues on my end, especially in some of the cabaret songs, specifically my personal favorites, Mine Air. One thing, like for example, the first 10 seconds of the song has some good like 40 cues in the first 10 seconds of the song. So that's what I'm sitting here doing, just kind of tapping through quickly.
Inch by inch, step by step.
Normally, the audio designer will design the show before it even opens. They make sure all the sound effects are where they should be, make sure that they have all the sound effects and create them and make them how the director wants. And then the audio mixer or the engineer will be doing all of the mixing of the show, controlling microphone levels, outputs of the actors, as well as controlling when and how loud or soft the sound effects are.
If you brought me diamonds, if you brought me pearls, if you brought me roses.
Perfect, thank you.
As a director, I'd love to see the show in its fully formed aspect on Tech Week. It never really happens till you add that live audience in it, and then it takes on its own life, and it's a really rewarding process for all involved. I am so proud of all the work for everyone in this show. Getting the opportunity to direct it was phenomenal. But I won't lie, once it's all closed, it's empty.
I'm really proud that we were able to put the whole thing together in 5 weeks. It was really, really cool, and everybody was so talented. It was so good.
I definitely had fun. I made a lot of new friends and definitely bonded with a lot of people more. And I do feel like the cast as a whole definitely got really close.
I'm sad that it's over, but I'm happy that that was my last show that I got to do here, just because it was so good. Everybody that came and saw it told me they absolutely loved it. And so I think to leave on a note like that is how it's supposed to be done. I wouldn't change a thing.
Thank you.